Hello friends. So today we're going to discuss Class 7th Science Chapter 11 Cell Structure and Microorganisms. Heading Let's recall. What is the name of the minute components of which the body of a living organism is made? Is the number of these unit cells the same in the body of all living organisms? Heading Cell. We have learned that cellular organization is the primary characteristic of all the living organisms and that the cell is the fundamental structural and functional unit of living organisms. Heading Complete the flowchart. Box 1 empty. Box 2 words. Box 3 sentences. Box 4 empty. Box 5 chapters. Box 6 book. We see that the structural organizations of a book in the above flowchart. Similarly, there are organization level in living organisms too. These are cells, tissues, organs, organ system, organism. Cells form the basis of the structure and function of all living organisms. It is only with the help of cells that living organisms carry out all their different life processes. Heading Use your brain power. Where do life processes of unicellular organisms take place? Box. Heading Great Scientists. In 1665, a scientist, Robert Hooke, observed a thin section of cork under a microscope. In this section, he saw hexagonal compartments like those of a beehive. He named those compartments cells. The term is derived from the Latin word cella, which means small room. In 1838, two scientists, M.J. Sheldon and Theodore Schwann, formulated a theory about semicellular structure, which stated all living organisms are made up of cells, and the cell is the fundamental component of living organisms. In 1885, Rudolf Virchow stated that all cells are formed from pre-existing cells. Heading Measurement and Observation of Cells. In 1673, Anton von Leeuwenhoek assembled various lenses to construct a microscope. He was the first to observe live bacterial and protozoan cells under the microscope. Cells are extremely minute in size. We cannot see them with the naked eye. Micrometer and nanometer are the units used for measuring their sizes. The compound microscope is used for magnifying cells. An object on a glass slide magnified many times by the lenses of a microscope. Box 1 centimeter is equals to dash millimeters. 1 millimeter is equals to 1000 micrometer. 1 micrometer bracket open or micron bracket close is equals to 1000 nanometer. Heading Let's try this. Take a piece or a segment of onion and carefully separate the thin skin from its concave surface with the help of forceps. Place the membrane on a glass slide and put a drop of water on it. Bracket open. Take care that the membrane does not get folded while placing on the slide. Bracket close. Put a drop of a dilute solution of iodine or eosin over it and observe under the 10x objective of the compound microscope. Don't forget to put a cover slip over the onion skin on the slide before placing it under the microscope. In the same way, observe the cells from various parts of the plants like leaves, bark, root tips, etc. Do you remember that last year you had observed the amoeba and paramecium that are found in water? Heading: can you tell? Are the cells that you observed all alike? What is their structure? What are their shapes? Headings: books. My friends, collect interesting information about cells from the reference books in the school library. For example, the largest cell, the smallest cell, etc. Cell size. Heading: there is a great variation in the shape of cells. Their shapes are mainly related to their function. Observe the cells of different shapes shown below. Cells are of many different shapes. Example: circular, rod shaped, columnar, spiral, oval, rectangular, etc. Each cell contains various components for carrying out the life processes of living organisms. These components are called organelles. These organelles are studied in detail with the help of the electron microscope, which can magnify images up to bracket open 2 into 10 raised to power 9 bracket close 2 billion times their actual size. There are two main types of cell: animal cells and plant cells. These cells consist of various types of membrane based organelles. Plant cells have a definite shape due to the presence of a cell wall around them. Besides, unlike animal cells, plant cells contain a large single vacuole. All these cells are known as eukaryotic cell. Heading: observe. Box. The cell has four main parts: the cell wall, cell membrane, cytoplasm, and cell organelles. A. Cell wall. The cell wall is the outermost covering of a cell. It is present only in plant cells. B. Plasma membrane. The plasma membrane, also called the cell membrane, is a kind of thin covering. It is extremely delicate and flexible. It is the outermost covering of animal cells. C. Cytoplasm. The liquid part of the cell present around the nucleus is called cytoplasm. It occupies the space between plasma membrane and nucleus. Cell organelles are scattered in the cytoplasm. D. Cell organelles. These are mainly include the nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies, lysosomes, mitochondria, vacuoles, plastids, etc. Plant cell contain chloroplast. Which are the common type of plants and animal cell? Which are the different ones? The nucleus is the most important organelle of the cell. There is a porous double membrane around it. The nucleus controls all functions of the cell. The endoplasmic reticulum is a sprawling net-like organelle. Its function is to make necessary changes in the protein produced by ribosomes and send them to Golgi bodies. Golgi bodies are made of several flat sacs. Their function is the proper distribution of proteins. Mitochondria and plastids are organelles with double outer coverings. As mitochondria produce energy, they are called the powerhouses of the cell. The chloroplasts in the plant cell carry out the function of photosynthesis. Vacuoles help to throw out waste products of the cell. Vacuole in animal cells are small, whereas there is only one large vacuole in a plant cell. Heading: Use your brain power. 1. How do the cells acquire definite shape? 2. How are cells protected? 3. What are the needs of cells? Heading: Microorganisms. Subheading: Let's recall. 1. What is meant by microorganisms? 2. Categorize the size. 2. Categorize the following organisms into two groups according to size: amoeba, paramecium, euglena, snail, elephant, pigeon, worms. We have learned that there are countless living organisms on the earth. Of these, the organisms which cannot be seen with our eyes but can only be observed under a microscope are called microorganisms. Heading: Occurrence of microorganisms. Microorganisms are present all around us in the air, water, soil, food, sewage, garbage, as well as in the bodies of plants and animals, including humans. Some microorganisms are solitary, that is, they live singly. Example: amoeba, paramecium. Whereas some live in colonies. Several microorganisms live on the remain of dead plants and animals. Heading: Observations and measurement of microorganisms. Heading: Try this. 1. Keep a moistened piece of bread or bakery in a closed box. Observe it after 3 to 4 days using a magnifying glass. 2. Observe a drop of muddy water or water from a stagnant puddle under the compound microscope. 3. Take a drop of yogurt or buttermilk on a glass slide and observe it under a compound microscope. In your notebook, draw sketches of microbes you observe. Box. Heading: Do you know? We cannot see objects smaller than 100 micrometers in size with our eyes. So, we make glass slides of the microorganisms and observe them under a compound microscope. However, if a magnification of 1000x proves to be insufficient, then we need to use an electron microscope to observe these microorganisms. Subheading: Size of some microbes. Paramecium, about 100 micrometers. Bacteria of typhoid, 1 to 3 micrometers. Poliovirus, 28 nanometers. Microbes measure less than 100 micrometers. Even in these minute organisms, their organelles carry out all life processes within the single cell. Heading: Use your brain power. Can the point of a needle accommodate microorganisms? Heading: Nature of microorganisms. Among the sketches you have drawn, do you find any of the microorganisms you see below? What interfaces can you draw about their sizes? Some microorganisms, like the fungus that grow on bread or strands of algae in ponds, are multicellular. However, Most microorganisms, such as bacteria and viruses, are unicellular. They have a somewhat different cellular structure. They do not have the membrane bound organelles found in eukaryotic cells. The plasma membrane, cytoplasm, and nuclei are their only components. Such cells are called prokaryotic cells. Box heading National Institutions. National Center for Cell Science bracket open NCCS bracket close Pune is an institute involved in research in the field of cell science bracket open cytology bracket closed biotechnology etc. Web address www.nccs.res.in. Heading Growth of Microorganisms. Each microorganism needs a specific environment for growth and reproduction. Many microbes need oxygen for their growth, whereas some microbes can grow without oxygen. Some microorganisms survive even in extreme and adverse conditions like the ocean floor, ice in polar regions, hot water springs, etc. During adverse conditions, microorganisms form a thick covering around themselves and stop their life processes. On return of favorable conditions, they come out of the protective covering and continue their life processes. Box. Where do the microorganisms grow? Medium, soil, water, decaying matter, etc. Temperature 25 degrees to 37 degrees. Nutrition specific nutrients. Example algae, chlorophyll, oxygen. Atmosphere moist, humid, warm. Box. According to the shape and life processes, microorganisms are classified as algae, fungi, protozoa, bacteria, and virus. Heading Useful microorganisms. Subheadings Try this. Take two earthen pots half filled with soil and mark them A and B. Mix some waste material like garden waste, dung, fruit peel, vegetable stalks, paper scrap, etc. with the soil in pot A. Mix things like pieces of glass, scrap metal, plastic bags, etc. with the soil in pot B. Keep both the pots at the same spot in garden and observe them after 3 to 4 weeks. Heading Can you tell? Did the garbage in pot B remain unchanged? Where did the garbage in pot A disappear? Why? Microbes present in the soil, dung, etc. decompose the garbage to obtain food materials. As a result, garbage is soon converted into manure of the best quality and our surroundings are kept clean. As in case of garbage, for proper sewage disposal too, microbes are released into the sewage so as to help in the quick decomposition of organic compounds in it. Heading Use your brain power. Why should dry and wet waste be collected separately? Heading Can you tell? Observe the roots of a pea, bean, and fenugreek plants. What could be the functions of these nodules on their root? We have seen that some microorganisms present in the soil and those in the root nodules of leguminous plants convert atmospheric nitrogen into its compounds. These nitrogenous compounds help to increase soil fertility and thereby the protein content of the pulses grown in that soil. Subheading Project. Visit the garbage depot near your village or city. Find out the reason for burying the garbage in the large pits there. Heading Let's recall. What does your mother do to make yogurt from milk? If a few drops of yogurt or buttermilk are mixed with the lukewarm milk and is kept at a temperature for 8 to 10 hours, microbes present in the drops of yogurt quickly multiply and the milk gets converted into yogurt. Microbes are thus useful for producing milk products like butter, buttermilk, cheese, paneer, etc. Box Fermentation. The chemical process of conversion of one type of carbon compound into another type of carbon compound by the action of microorganisms is called fermentation. Heat is generated in this process and carbon dioxide and some other gases are released. These gases cause an increase in the volume. Example, bread dough and idli batter are seen to rise. The process of fermentation is used for making yogurt from milk, producing alcohol from grains and fruits, bread from flour, as well as in the production of acetic acid, citric acid, lactic acid, vitamins, antibodies, etc. Heading Books. My friends, who discovered the process of fermentation? Heading Use your brain power. 1. Why is yogurt mixed in the batter or dough for making rava idli, bhature or naan? 2. How do preparations like yogurt, idli, dosa become easy to digest? If microbes are allowed to grow in batter, dough, fruit juices, etc., they break down these substances, producing new compounds as they grow and multiply in them. This microbial process is used in the production of various common foodstuffs. Sometimes when you are ill, the doctor prescribes capsules or injections of medicines like penicillin. These types of medicines destroy the pathogens and retard their growth. These are called antibiotics. Antibiotics are produced with the help of specific microbes. Diseases like tuberculosis, typhoid, cholera, etc., which were previously considered incurable, have now come under control because of antibiotics. Domestic animals too can be protected from various diseases by mixing antibiotics with their food. Plant diseases can also be controlled with the help of antibiotics. Box. Heading Always remember. Though antibiotics are useful for curing certain diseases, they can be harmful if used without consulting a physician. Hence, a course of antibiotics should be completed strictly following the doctor's prescription. In fact, we should not take any medicines on our own to treat ailments like body aches, headaches, common colds, etc. Find out, why are infants vaccinated according to a fixed time schedule? What is a vaccine? A vaccine is produced in a laboratory with the help of microbes that gives immunity against a particular disease. If we have been vaccinated against any disease, our immunity, that is, resistance to that disease, increases, so does the possibility of contracting that disease is greatly reduced. Microbes are also used in the process, like tanning of skin, production of ropes, and strings from agave. Some microbes use oil for their growth. Such microbes are used to clear a layer of oil floating on the surface of an ocean or lake formed due to a leak or spill, that is, to clear an oil slick. Farm waste, human urine, and feces, wet garbage, etc., is collected and used in a biogas plant to produce biogas and fertilizers. Heading: Harmful microorganisms. Subheading: Let's recall. What happens to the sweet meal or bread forgotten in a lunchbox for 3 to 4 days? If jars of pickles, jams, bracket open, murabba, bracket close, etc., are opened after a long time, a round layer of white scum or black particles may appear to have formed on the surface. In summer, milk and meat get spoiled quickly. Fungus grows quickly on moist surface. What do we do with such spoiled food? Why? Box. Heading: Food poisoning. As they use the foodstuff for their own nutrition, some microbes release toxic materials, bracket opens, enterotoxins, bracket close, into the food. Such toxins spoil the food. Eating such spoiled food can cause loose motions and vomiting. Heading: Use your brain power. How will you know that a foodstuff is spoiled? 2. What precautions will you take while purchasing food? Why? 3. Why do food poisoning incidents occur during marriage or other community feasts? Box. Always remember: 1. Eat fresh and properly covered food. 2. Drink boiled water. 3. Hold a handkerchief over your mouth and nose when you cough or sneeze. 4th, don't allow garbage and water to accumulate around your house. Box. Heading: Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Almost 80% of all diseases occur due to uncleanliness. Keeping our surroundings clean, avoiding litter, and disposing garbage properly, avoiding defecation in the open are some easy ways to stop the spread of diseases. The Swachh Bharat Abhiyan is a national movement started several years ago to increase awareness about public hygiene along with the habits of personal hygiene. Let us participate in this movement by starting a cleanliness drive in our school and neighborhood. Heading: Find out. Which diseases do microorganisms cause in plants and animals? Heading: Pathogens. Disease producing microorganisms. Pathogens may be present in water, bodies contaminated with sewage and dirt from the surroundings, in food left uncovered in unhygienic condition with houseflies sitting on it, etc. If such contaminated food or water is consumed, we may fall ill with diseases of the alimentary canal like amoebiasis, typhoid, cholera, hepatitis, gastro, etc. Pathogens are released in the air when a person having an infection of the respiratory tract sneezes or coughs. A healthy person may get infected with such pathogens on breathing in the same air and contract diseases like common cold, cough, diphtheria, pneumonia, tuberculosis, etc. Mosquitoes reproduce in places like heaps of garbage, drains, stagnant water, etc. Microbes that cause diseases like malaria, dengue, elephantiasis, yellow fever, chikungunya, Zika fever, etc. gain entry into human body through the bite of a female mosquito. Box. Heading: Make sure to check. 1. Is the water tank and water in it clean? 2. Are the water tanks and toilets in the school clean? 3. Is the water that accumulates in pots, tires, cans, etc. around the house drained promptly? Fourth, are the water storage containers cleaned regularly? Box. Do you know what exactly happens when we have fever? The body temperature of a healthy human being is about 37 degrees Celsius. If microorganisms enter our body, our immune system starts acting, body temperature rises. This destroys the microorganisms. The site of an injury also feels warm for the same reason. Heading: Use your brain power. What is the correlation between the normal body temperature of humans, which is 37 degrees Celsius, and the optimum temperature for the growth of microorganisms, 15 degrees Celsius to 35 degrees Celsius? Heading: Can you tell? What happens if clothes remain damp in the rainy season? 2. What are the black or white spots sometimes seen on gunny bags? 3. Why are leather articles like purses, wallets, belts, footwear always polished before storing away? Fourth, what is the powdery material found on old currency note or old rubber or paper? All materials mentioned above, that is, gunny bags, cotton clothes, paper, rubber, etc., are plant products, and leather is an animal product. In a humid atmosphere, fungi and some other microorganisms grow on these articles and spoil or damage them. Thank you.